everyone. My name is Evie Lupine. Welcome back to my channel, and today I have another video for you all. Today we are going to be doing something I haven't done before on my channel. We are going to be reacting to some TikToks, and I am not a member of TikTok. I very rarely even see TikToks unless they're on some other platform I use more often, like Twitter. I mean, X.com, I guess now. Are we really doing that? Anyways, I have heard that there is a kinky side to TikTok called KINKTOK, and I wanted to check it out. And my initial impression of KINKTOK is I thought it might be, well, I'll just show you some examples, I guess, here.
Say that again, I liked it.
And I was like, I don't know if that's really going to be my speed, but I did ask you all to tell me what some of your favorite KINKTOK creators are, and I basically went through and I looked for some videos that were really popular. I looked for creators that people recommended, and I found some gems too that I think are going to be very interesting to react to. So let's go ahead and watch some KINKTOKs. I will share my thoughts. I am hopeful this will be mostly educational and fun, with maybe some cringe mixed in there, but we'll see how it goes.
You can do whatever you want to me. I see a lot of newbie submissives make this mistake. Let's talk about how it's low-key a red flag and how we can get more precise answers. So it's tricky. While we love submissives who are down to experiment, insisting that you have no limits or preferences is usually a sign of inexperience. The more you explore, the more you'll realize that you do have limits. And so ownership of your boundaries is 100% normal and encouraged. You can do whatever you want to me also puts a lot of pressure and the full onus of scene creation on the dominant. Yes, this is part of the responsibility of that role, but it's also the submissive's responsibility to have a handle on their preferences and limits. Not doing so puts all of the emotional labor, the communication, and the responsibility on the dominant, and that's not how power exchange works. If your submissive does this, just gently remind them that they make your job a lot easier when they communicate. If they're stuck, here are some questions to ask. Go check out my video on negotiation for more tips if your submissive is struggling to communicate.
Okay, so I think this is a really good example of where TikTok can shine as a platform, because it's quick, it's informational, it's very visual but not overwhelming, and it gets to a very key idea in the kink community that we oftentimes do have conversations about. But part of the reason why TikTok is a platform that I have warmed up to the idea of people using for education is because there are lots of people that are on TikTok and use TikTok to find their information, like with YouTube, like with Twitter, like with Reddit. And people don't always know about things like FetLife or in-person groups, and this is a really good way to get concise information about an important topic. And I totally agree with this. I talk about this idea all the time of, yes, I know it can be a fantasy to want to be able to say, you know, do whatever you want to me, I have no limits, and then just like have an amazing scene after that. But it does put a lot of pressure on the other person, I think, unfairly. And I think there can be a tendency to maybe overreact to that and overcorrect and be like, oh my God, it's terrible that you would even say that, that's awful. Having a gentle response to that of like, hey, you know, it helps me do my job if you give me more information. I think having that part of this TikTok is really good to be like, hey, here's a way you can talk about that being a problem. It's not like you're a bad submissive, because like that wouldn't go well. So overall, great first TikTok. Let's watch another one. Definitely much more of like a classic short and sweet TikTok, and it's funny because it's so particular and relatable at the same time. I'm not really a brat, so I don't really do this, but I've definitely been around people where their scenes are like this. I have actually, now that I think about it, I have seen a similar scene involving a suspension, a school chair, a soccer ball, and a soccer uniform. Not going to go into details beyond that, but it was very entertaining. And yeah, if you're doing chair bondage, you might want to make sure that the chair is very heavy and not movable, because actually, you know, because I can't turn off this part of my brain. This is funny, but also if you are blindfolding somebody, tying them to a chair, and then they move around, if you are doing this on a hard surface like laminate or wood or something, they can tip over and hurt themselves or fall on their head, and that would be really bad. So please, carpet is great, or make sure the chair can't really move like this. Also a good idea, but you know what? If everything ends up going well, it's funny, it's fun. I love the music. Also, TikTok uses a lot of music that is not copyright friendly on YouTube, and I don't know why it's so different between the two platforms, so I may occasionally have to replace the audio in this video. I don't know yet how much is going to happen, if at all, but just be aware, you might not have the same musical experience that I just did, but it was a very jaunty tune. So alright, next one.
So here's the thing. Imagine actually understanding that BDSM and power exchange relationships are built on consent. That consent is the fundamental, foundational layer. And then looking at brats and being like, but why are they so disrespectful to their doms? If they're in a BDSM like power dynamic relationship and bratting is part of that relationship, what the hell makes you think that the dom isn't consenting to it? Like, the dom knows what's going on. Chances are they're playing into it because they enjoy that part of the dynamic. Like, it's not that complicated and it's not that deep. They both like it, so they're both involved in it. What is so hard to understand? I
love the ending just being like, I can't take this anymore. I'm done. Cut the video. Yes, I have the very interesting position online of not being a brat, but having to defend brats a lot because, you know, everyone has their own taste and experiences, and there are a vocal minority of people that detest brats, that are like, anytime I mention brats, they're like, they're the worst, they're awful, it's abusive to be a brat in a relationship, there's no way it's ever okay, brats are the worst types of subs. And I get that a lot of people say that from a place of hurt, where they've been hurt by brats and they just don't ever see how that would ever be okay because of how much it hurt them. And I know people personally that have had experiences like that, but to universally say that like brats are always terrible subs, they aren't real subs, and the dom couldn't possibly want what is happening to them is mind-blowing. It's like, other people like different things, Barbara. It's okay. So yes, I totally agree with that. If brats aren't your thing, that's valid, but if brats are other people's things or whatever, that's also valid. So brats, valid, yay. Good to have a reminder, because literally no matter what social media platform you are on, people are talking about brats and they have strong opinions.
Oh, you're such a handsome young man. Can you give us a big smile? Oh, please don't do that again. Okay.
Okay, so this is a TikTok, I think from the same creator as the TikTok before the one we just watched. And honestly, it might be hard to top this one. Oh, no. Wait, did I just make a pun on accident? It might be hard to top this one for me, you get, because we're talking about brats and brats are difficult to top. Listen, I'll be here all week, twice a week actually, making videos. But this is, okay, I have softened my opinion about soft doms over the last, I'd say, year and a half. Like, I don't love the term because I think the way that a lot of people use it is very like, soft doms are good and safe and better for most people, whereas hard doms are dangerous and scary. And like, we don't really need to create dichotomies like that, I don't think, because most doms are some combination of both, and what does soft and hard even really mean? And like, I just think it's like subjective more than it's really helpful as like a definite label. But that aside, this flavor of dynamic, totally get it. Like, you have a soft dom who's just like, I want to do praise kink, and it's so lovely that you're here with me and submitting for me, and thank you so much. The brat's like, I don't want that. They're like, oh, don't do that. Yes, the soft dom brat pairing can work. It's a little bit difficult, and especially for newer soft doms or newer doms in general, wouldn't necessarily recommend a brat partner, especially a brat that's also newer, because they maybe don't have as much refinement to their brat meter on any given day. So yeah, soft doms and brats. I don't know. The audio is just really funny to me for some reason. It's really good. This one, definitely A plus on this one. Very funny. Also, I'm noticing a trend with brats here. TikTok and brats. There seems to be a correlation happening.
Gender-neutral honorifics are always an interesting topic because the ones that are most common out in the community are oftentimes very gendered, and they don't work for everyone. So here's a short list from myself, and I'll point you to some resources as well. My personal honorific that I use with my partners is Sai. That's S-A-I, and it kind of takes the place, I guess, of what sir or ma'am would be. From the top or dominant side, you could use something like mix, alpha, captain, chef, those kinds of things. And on the flip side, my S-type title or honorific, however you want to call it, is puppy. And you could use something like little one or pet, things like that. One resource that I found particularly helpful is an article written for Zipper magazine by Sunny Megatron, who's on this app, and it contains a list of, I believe, 94 different honorifics or titles. So if you want to search that up and check that out, it's got some great ideas.
I'm so glad we're having this conversation because I know a lot of you all want to know about gender neutral honorifics, and I'm not currently in a relationship where I would need to use something like that. So it's not really something that's like usually on my brain to think about, but there are so many options. Yes, things like mistress or sir are classically very gendered. I would argue that with a lot of terminology, it's very powerful to flip it around and use it in ways that subvert gender expectations. Like, I love daddy as an honorific, specifically for femme and non-binary people, like especially daddy with an I instead of a Y. Like, that needs to be more popular ASAP. Like, I think it's great to play around with different terminology and genuinely figure out what is good for you and what makes you feel good in your gender, in your relationship, and all of that. And I think it's a really good place to be creative and make up your own terms if you want to. Like, also chef, that is fantastic. Like, imagine doing a scene in a dungeon and then suddenly it's like, yes, chef, just like from the corner of the room out of nowhere, you see somebody going by in like a white coat, like holding like a butcher block or like a cheese board paddle. Like, that would be very funny. I'm very pro all of this. It's fantastic. And also, for those of you who want to or do use more neutral terminology, I would love to know what your ideas are. What do you use? What works for you? Let's get some more ideas going in the comment section.
Is a collar like a wedding ring? Let's talk about it. The answer to that is yes, but also no, but also sometimes. And the reason for this is that collars and their meanings are very individualized. It depends on your dynamic, your rules, your structure, and there is not one true meaning of collars. I have heard many people say that they view their collar as a wedding ring. I do not. What my collar does mean to me is it is a visual representation of my dynamic, and it represents the love that my partner has for me and the connection that I have to them, as well as my place and role within our dynamic. That's what works for us, but someone else might say something different.
Ooh, okay, this is a controversial opinion, and I feel like this idea that like collars are a kink wedding ring is one of those communication oversimplifications that has happened with how online a lot of kink discussion currently is. Like, you see this also with like not having aftercare can be bad, and then that getting simplified into if your dominant doesn't give you aftercare, i.e. cuddles and a snack, without having to be told right after a scene, that means they're abusing you. And they're like, well, let's back up and talk about that more because it's more detailed than that. And I think with this as well, there is a higher level of nuance that you can't assume what a collar means because somebody is wearing one. Like, it isn't even a collar to that person. It could just be a fashion thing or a practical bondage item, or they could be a dom who's wearing one to like mess with their partner's brain for a scene and like play act being submissive and then taking the power in the scene. Like, you never really know what's going on there. And yes, for a lot of people, collars are like wedding rings, but really it's not always about it being like a black wedding, you know, spiritual marriage of like, I'm gonna serve you for all of time and beyond death, like I heard some people do in their collaring ceremonies. Like, it can also be about just like, we've reached a certain level of devotion and commitment in the relationship and want to symbolize this with an object. And it can be as important as a wedding ring, it can be less important, it doesn't really matter, honestly, but people get very fixated on collars. Oh my gosh, they get so fixated on collars. So glad to hear we're having this conversation on TikTok as well.
Dude, just because we rip on you for being rich doesn't mean we don't like you. Yeah, we're guys, dude. We find something about all our friends to rip on. We make fun of you for being rich just like we make fun of Butters for being wimpy. They sure do. Yeah, like we rip on Kyle for being a Jew. Right. That's right, huh? And Stan for being in love with Wendy. Yeah, I get it for that. And Cartman for being fat. Uh-huh. And Cartman for being stupid. Yeah. And Cartman for having a whore for a mom. Hey. And Cartman for being a sadistic asshole. Hey, you gave me a...
This might be a miss for me. I have never watched South Park before, so maybe I am missing something. What I think this TikTok is trying to say is there's one thing that all doms that are real doms can agree on, and it's that fake doms suck more than the rest of us do, even though we have our differences. But here's the thing. Here's what I'm stuck on. Can we just highlight this, please? What in the name of all that is holy and unholy is a vanilla dom? What is a vanilla dom? Okay, this is like the quintessential example of what confuses me about TikTok and KINKTOK stuff, because like a lot of it, like we've seen so far, is really educational and good, and bless the people that are trying to do education about kink on TikTok, because the censorship is why I'm not on there. It is wild. It is so hard to actually get your content out there and seen by other people. But then you have people that are like, because it's so chopped up and isolated and so censored, you get things like this, like vanilla dom. Like, my only idea for why this could be a term is there are people who don't realize the term top and bottom exist, and so they think that vanilla dom means that you do kinky stuff without power exchange, or maybe they think that a vanilla dom is somebody who, it's not really a top bottom thing, but it's, sorry, my brain's really trying to work this out. Like, I'm like, wait, what is that? What could that mean? Maybe it means it's somebody who does power exchange without doing like kink play as part of it. Like, they don't do scenes. Or maybe, again, it's like that they don't know what a top is, and so they think it's like, oh, a vanilla dom is when you only like role play doing it, but it's not like for real in your relationship. Like, if somebody knows, please tell me, what is a vanilla dom? Because it's breaking my brain. Okay, I've been sick for like a week. I don't have the mental capacity to deal with this. Somebody please inform me, because I am lost. So I guess in the end, it was an entertaining TikTok, but I didn't enjoy it. Like, it didn't make me happy. It just made me confused. So I'm gonna say, for this one, like, it almost, is this person in the kink community? Like, I've just never heard the term vanilla dom. Did they make it up? Is this, where did this come from? I have so many questions. Anyways, okay, we have one more to watch. I think it'll bring us back up before the end of the video. Let's check it out. this, I think, on TikTok. I mean, really, most of these are probably good to have on TikTok, to be honest. Actually, been very positive overall. Like, it can be hard when you're having conversations, especially online, about the brat versus non-brat submissive debate about, like, what's better. And yes, please, let's normalize allowing other people to have different opinions about what makes a good sub or a good dom, or the style they engage in, or if they do age play, or if they're 24/7, or like whatever. Let's just like not be so hung up on how other people do their kink stuff. Like, yeah, overall, I think let's not be so judgmental. And TikTok and Twitter, they can be pretty closed off places, I think, opinion wise. So it's good to see some diversity there. And again, wow, like the brat through line in this, the brats have taken over TikTok. That is brat central. So if you're a brat, go on TikTok, I guess, because your people are there. So I love seeing it. It's really good. And I will note, obviously, all these that I've seen so far are in English. I did find a TikToker who does TikToks about BDSM in Spanish, if you want to check that out as well. I know it's like not really a lot of other language besides English education about BDSM. I was like a couple of channels, like there's somebody who does bondage tutorials, I want to say in Portuguese. I've seen Spanish and some German and also Dutch, but other than that, not necessarily a ton of options as comprehensive as English. So I love seeing other people making videos and TikToks as well in other languages to make kink education accessible. And with that being said, I would love to know y'all's thoughts about KINKTOK. Did I miss any of your favorite creators? Do you want to see a part 2 with those favorite creators if I didn't include them? Anything else you want to share? Any thoughts? Please let me know in a comment down below. I do want to say before I wrap up here, like I said, I've been sick for over a week, almost a week now. The days kind of blur together. I am sorry if I sound weird in the video or I have to make weird cuts to like cough. Like it's been a struggle, okay? It's been a struggle. I've already had to film this video multiple times and I'm just crossing my fingers, knocking on wood, that this is all going to come together and I'm not going to have to film it again. So thank you all so much for watching. If you in fact do end up seeing this video, I really appreciate it. If you like this, if you want to see more videos from me, please do subscribe because I make videos twice a week about all sorts of different kink and BDSM related topics, from reaction videos to talking about pop culture news to educational stuff and so much more. So go ahead and subscribe once again if you've not already. And finally, if you want to support what I do, the best way you can do that is with Patreon. A link to that will be down below. I have lots of exclusive videos over there on topics I can't cover here on YouTube. So if you want more details about things like, I don't know, CNC, that might be a good thing for you to check out. And hopefully you all enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching and have an amazing rest of your day and an amazing rest of your week. Bye-bye.